They have lots of light foods. Yeah. Hmm. You know, that's one of the reasons why people in Japan are so skinny. Not just Japan, but like Southeast Asia in general. Just like rice and fish and the general like diets they tend to eat. I mean, if you compare the food that you eat when you visit Japan to the food that you'll eat in America, like what's available and what you tend to have, holy shit, you know? Especially the American South. Like you will be so much fatter and heavier and more tired in the American South than you will be if you're just like eating the cuisine over in Southeast Asia. I'm speaking generally, but you know, it does seem to be a less bloaty diet. I mean, yeah, you know, Japanese food is crazy salty though. It can be. I mean, if you dump everything, like if you dump soy sauce and everything, which I do, so yeah, but it's also part of their culture. Minimal eating is part of Confucianism. Eat until 80% full. Yeah, but that's a good thing. That bullshit. This is a bad lesson. The whole like eat until there's no more food on your plate. That's like a bad habit to set with kids. You know, you shouldn't do that. The whole like eat until you're uncomfortable. I would be willing to bet that a significant number of people in chat, when they have meals, have literally conditioned themselves to make themselves unhappy with how much they eat because they overeat like constantly. Like when they go to a restaurant, you'll have a big meal and you eat like 60% of it and feel really good and like full, but then you're like, oh, but it's such good food. And then you eat like 80 or 100% and then you feel like sick. And it's like, oh, why didn't I stop? But you do it every time. And it's because you're socially conditioned to go like, oh, don't want to waste the food. Leaving aside the whole like make leftovers later thing. It's a really like self-destructive habit. You have to train yourself. Like the whole point, we're not like fighting for every calorie here. If you're eating at a restaurant, it's because you're enjoying the food, right? Like at least I hope so. So if you're at a soup kitchen, then sure, fill up. But if you're eating at a restaurant, the point there is to have a good time. So don't eat past the point where you're comfortable. And eat slowly, for God's sake. If you eat crazy quick, your brain doesn't have time to tell you whether or not you're full. So like you end up being more full than you intended, you know? Be chill. I had food insecurity growing up, so I have a hard time not gobbling shit up. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I know it can be like a response thing, but it's better for you to have like, you know, some care there. This doesn't apply to Japan though. It's rude to leave the food in your plate at a Japanese restaurant and the cooks will get offended. Who gives a what? Don't hurt yourself because of some stupid like cultural custom. That's bullshit. Oh, you're mad that I ate until I was full and then didn't eat anymore. Die mad. I don't know what. Sorry. Go to a different restaurant. Just make everyone mad. You have any idea how many sushi bars there are in Tokyo? Trust me, you'll never run out. Make 3 chefs a day mad, and you will never run out. You will die before you run out of new sushi chefs to anger. Okay, keep at it. Be notorious. Okay. I prefer Blistex to Burt's Bees by a lot, Vief. Don't listen to that weeb as a Japanese person. The person's just soying out. Yeah, that's also kind of like an Orientalist thing, right? Where it's like, oh, over in the Far East, like they have a strong cultural preference to this or that. Where it's like over here in America, we have a lot of like social habits and cultural biases and stuff. But if a foreigner doesn't perfectly respect those, we usually just think, oh, okay, like. For the most part, you know, if you're a tolerant person, if somebody who's clearly a tourist or a foreigner or an immigrant or whatever does something that's like a little like off socially in terms of like decorum, we don't usually think like, hey, what was that? Like usually it's like, oh, okay, well, they're a foreigner, you know, which is like fine, you know? By the way, I've been drinking a lot of water to fill out for my hunger. Well, make sure you get your calories, but yeah, people don't drink enough water. Please do drink enough water. Water is one of the very, very, very few things that it's almost impossible to have so much of that you hurt yourself. You can die of water poisoning if you flush your body with too much water. The kidneys can't process all of it into urine, and it actually like over dilutes the stuff that goes into your blood, and you can cause like issues and die. But that's like extreme. That's like you're chugging gallons and gallons of water. Like you can't drink that much water unless you are like deliberately pushing yourself beyond every physical limit. For the most part, you can drink as much water as you want, and you will be fine. Basically, any other thing, minerals, vitamins, food, spices, whatever, you have too much of it or too little of it, and you can hurt yourself. But with water, you know, you can keep at it. I'm sure this is why poor people are often overweight too. Well, it's also like lack of time to exercise, and they tend to have access to lower quality food. Yeah, if you drink like a gallon in under 2 hours, you get water poisoning. When I say drink a lot of water, I mean like if you can go through this, how much is this again? 2.5 liters. Yeah, 2.5 liters. If you can go through 2.5 liters of water in a day, you're probably okay. Like you can go more too, but 2.5 liters in a day, like, okay, yeah, sure. Just, you know, fill a big thing up and then try to go all the way down. Yeah, it's a good amount of water. You'll be okay. Makes you pee a lot? Well, sure, but that's fine. That 2.5 liters needs to be spread throughout the day. Yeah. Of course, you just drink it throughout the. I'm not saying like don't drink for 8 hours, then realize and like drink the whole thing or whatever. But you know, like yeah, it's good. I have about 5 pints of water a day. Pint 2 liter. Oh yeah. So that's that. That's 5 pints. Okay, yeah. What the fuck is a pint? I don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a pint is. Okay. No human. We have yet to discover. Okay, it's an ancient term that we don't understand. That's awesome, Oscar Carver. I've gone through 3 2-liter bottles in a day. Whoo, that's a lot. But it was also back when I was working and profusely sweating. Yeah. Obviously, if you're like working outside in a hot climate, like you might go through a ton of water if you can, and sweat through a lot of it. Isn't it better to drink only if you feel thirsty? Well, the problem is that people who are mentally ill, which includes all like internet politics people, so all of you, often have a difficult time when it comes to like managing their body's needs, you know? So you'll just sit at the computer for 6 hours not doing anything because you're really focused on something, and then you'll realize like, oh, I haven't peed or eaten or drank. So like the signals that your brain sends to indicate that you should be doing more of this or less of this, they're very fallible and easily ignored in a lot of cases. So I think that it's good to have a basic rule for something as simple as water, where it's just like, yeah, I will have like a big thing of water a day, and that, you know, like it's not perfect. Maybe I have a little more or less. It's not like a hard rule or whatever, but you know, it's just a general thing to think about. And obviously if you're thirsty, you should drink, like, of course. But if you're like feel like bloated and full, don't go like, well, I still need 1 more pint of water. Like, you know, like be sensible. 5 minutes of walk a day, or 5 minutes of walking a day, Chicano Ots, is probably more and better exercise than the average American gets. Like by a significant amount too. That's sad. Well, ain't no way. Hey, man, listen, okay? I live here in America. I know what it's like. Swimming is great exercise. Yeah, but who can swim, right? Like pretty limited. Is it possible to drink too much tea? Yeah, any amount of tea is too much. Drink coffee like an adult, but also don't drink too much of that. Really, I think like the drink that you drink more than any other should be water. Like I get shit for my caffeine intake, but I have 1 cup of coffee a day and a 5-hour energy, you know, which isn't that much liquid. The drink you drink should be water, okay? That's the drink that your body is designed to have. Like, if you're always drinking soda or tea or coffee, like that's the main thing you're lining, that's a problem. I have known people who are like feel weird drinking water. You're gonna die. Like, I know you're living that high right now, but you're gonna develop kidney stones. You're going to have like ulcers. Something's going to go wrong with you, okay? The water is literally like the building block of life. It is the universal solvent that allows your body to carry resources in the blood. Like you can't not have the water. You need the water. What about milk? I said water. You can drink other things too, but the main drink you have should be water. Have you seen that thing where it's like the water bottle infused flavor? I've been seeing some YouTubers shill for it, where it's like, is regular water too boring for you? Get these like flavor packs so that you can infuse your water with you know, flavor. What the f is wrong with you? It is water, my dude. It's water. It's like 70, is it air up? Is that what it's called? It's 70% of your body, or whatever they say the number is. It probably varies. It's crazy. Yeah, like infusing your water. Just drink the water. What's wrong with water? Just drink it. It doesn't taste bad. It's water. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Your body still absorbs the water in there. Yeah, but I think it's indicative of, I don't know if I'm like, am I critiquing hedonism right now? I feel like you should be able to drink water. I feel like you should be able to just drink water. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel like a bunch of people just become soda addicts when they're like 12 years old and they're trying to work that off. You know, I never got into soda. I hate soda. Well, I don't hate it. I'll have a tiny bit of Sprite with like a cocktail or something. But you know, like for the most part, if I'm having like a drink to hydrate myself, that shit is water. You know, you're talking to a generation that was offered Sprite as the healthy option by their parents. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can do tea or something. Well, you don't want to have too much tea or coffee, not just for like caffeine or whatever, but can tea also do kidney stones? Wait, tea, kidney stone. Is that also a tea thing? Tea and coffee in moderation are not a problem. While tea and coffee do contain some oxalate, the extra fluid outweighs any possible disadvantage. Some studies suggest drinking moderate amounts of tea and coffee can lower the risk of kidney stones. Oh, okay. Maybe you can drink a lot of tea. But you still have to be careful about the caffeine. Too much caffeine is bad for you. That's good, though. You do want to be careful about soda, though. You really don't want kidney stones. Do you think cavemen didn't put things in their water to make it taste better, like making soups? I don't really think of soup as flavoring water. I don't know what type of soup you're having. That's just not how I... Maybe this is an arbitrary categorization, but that's not generally how I think of it. What about caffeine? Why are you asking me? I don't know anything about tea. I don't like tea. Vosh, one of my mother's friends, has a son that exclusively drank soda for most of his life. He's in the hospital now, and both kidneys failed. Holy shit. That's awful. Like from calcite buildup? Like from the crystals? Or Jesus, yeah. Can it be fixed? You can fix kidney failure sometimes. Like the kidneys get clogged up with the crystals. I think it's calcite crystals, right? Where basically like your kidneys are meant to filter your blood to produce urine to get like excess liquid out through your stomach and digestive tract and blah blah. The stuff in soda can cause like it can form like crystal structures in your kidney, and if too much of it forms and it like breaks up, basically you've got a bunch of like shards of crystal glass floating around in your kidneys, and it like cuts up the kidneys from the inside and it destroys their ability to filter, and you don't realize it's happening until you're like dying. Because when your kidneys can't filter anymore, you just like either don't pee at all or you pee like nothing, but you're not filtering the toxins. So your blood just fills with more poison. And over time, like your blood gets backed up with more and more and more and more like of all the toxins that flood it, you know, which if you drink a ton of soda, like your kidney's not filtering it anymore. So it backs up and it'll get you pretty quick. That's what kidney failure does in all cases. It's what happened to Danil. It's what happens to everyone who has kidney failure. Something prevents it from filtering poison out of the blood. There is zero evidence that soda causes kidney stones. High consumption of sugar-sweetened soda was associated with a higher incidence of kidney stones, which may be because of the fructose content. Dark cola beverages, artificial... Oh, you're saying it's the sugar thing and not the carbonation thing. Like soda is really, really, really sugary. Sweet tea, stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry. When I say soda, what I'm talking about, I guess, is like really like unhealthy, sugary drink. Not just like sorry. I should be more clear there. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure that carbonated water, like fizzy water, I'm pretty sure that doesn't do anything kidney stone wise. Like that's literally just carbon dioxide. That's not, you've got that inside of you already. Why diet sodas don't work? Well, apart from the fact that they taste bad, I don't really know. I've never had a diet soda once in my life. I hear they taste bad, I've heard a bunch of ice cream can cause kidney stones as well. Well, sugar, right? I mean, we eat way more sugar than our bodies are designed to process. If you think about like all of the biologically, humans can process more food than almost any other animal because we're intelligent foraging, hunting omnivores. Like that's the reason why dogs die if they have chocolate or whatever. Like different animals process different food. We can process a ton of food. We're very good at it. We've got a lot of gut bacteria. We've evolved to be like very efficient because we need a bunch of calories because our brain uses so many calories. But if you think of like what we were meant to have, I'm really sorry, guys. Pre-modern humans didn't have much sugar. There are natural sugars that form in like, fruits and a bunch of different stuff. But like compared to what we can access today, not even remotely close. Like we have many times more. They had honey. Yeah. Oh, sure. They had honey. But again, in terms of like how much sugar people had back then compared to today, not even comparable, like not even remotely close. Whereas in terms of like fat, protein, carbohydrates or whatever, more comparable. We have more carbs today than then, but in terms of fat and protein, pretty comparable, like roughly. And carbs, we started like farming and stuff, whatever. You know what I mean? Do you also think it's weird if someone exclusively drinks sparkling water? Yeah, I do. I don't know. I think that like being able to drink normal water is like a marker for a human being. You know what I mean? I would feel weird if rats started getting like addicted to sparkling water too, if that makes any sense. Like if there were rats in a lab and it was like, yeah, we've trained our rats to prefer sparkling water to regular water, even though it doesn't affect them in any way, it's totally fine. I would still think like, like it's literally like the building block of life. I don't know how Yeah, carbs aren't very good for us, Archwave, at least not in the quantities that we have it now. Not that I'm advocating any keto shit. Those people are insane. Fad diets don't work. None of them do. The like selective fasting thing, the like mini fasting, keto, whatever else, it's all bullshit. It's calories in, calories out, manage your macros, try to maintain a healthy and active lifestyle. That's it. That's it. That's it. You know? If you have like a specific medical consideration that means you need to have more or less of a given nutrient or whatever else, like then yeah, sure. Like it varies person to person, but the idea of like, oh, the secret to fitness is like this specific thing or whatever is bullshit. Like it always has been bullshit. Enough of that. Where's the politics? This is politics. Diet and food culture are really, really politicized, which is why fitness is like a big, advocacy ground for the right. There's nothing wrong with fitness, obviously, but the desire to be like some kind of Paleolithic Ultraman is a consistent trend in a lot of reactionary movements. BMI has about a 70 to 80% correlation to genetic factors. Okay, there are very heavy genetic influences to stuff like weight loss, health, fat distribution, stuff like that. That is definitely 100% true. I'm not denying it. But all of these things fit into the calculations, right? Like genetic factors can influence the speed at which you process nutrients or what you need or what you don't need. But ultimately, the calories in, calories out thing is a like thermodynamic law. Like your body can't make something from nothing. So the main consideration is like, how do you do it? And also never shame people for being for having a harder time losing weight than other people. Okay, like think about it. The cravings that you feel for food, that's like an individual thing. For some people, eating less than their body needs to survive is like relatively easy because they can overlook it. This is the case for me. I'm a large person and I can eat 1,800 calories a day without much fuss. I'm hungry, sure, but it really doesn't tear me up too much. But I remember how hungry I was back when I was like 20, and there are like people who just are hungrier, not that their body needs more food, but their brain sends more hunger signals. And like, it's different levels of difficulty for everyone. It's a process. I'm not saying it's a closed system, Purple Orange. Yeah. I'm just saying that like it is like you burn an amount of energy and you consume an amount of energy. You can't get bodily energy or caloric energy from anywhere other than eating or drinking. We don't photosynthesize. We don't have an ability to like incorporate metabolic energy from anything that isn't food. Now people digest food at different levels of efficiency. Have you guys ever wondered why bodybuilders or weightlifters or athletes have cheat days rather than like any other way of eating more junk food? Because if you are on a diet most days and then one day you're like, fuck it, I want like a bunch of tasty food. If you eat like 6,000 calories of pizza and wings in one day, your body doesn't digest all of it. You might eat 6,000 calories, but when you have your explosive diarrhea later that day, your body might have only processed like 4,000 or so, meaning that like a lot of those calories, at least from like a dietary perspective, were free. Where does it go? In the toilet. Your body doesn't have time to fully like process all the calories and all that food. It doesn't process all of it like perfectly. That's like a whole thing. Recycle the calories? Well, I mean, it just goes right through you, right? Like that's the case for a lot of things. Like for instance, if you eat anything that makes you sick and you have diarrhea after, the body literally doesn't have time to process all the calories that were contained in the food that your body makes into diarrhea. So in a lot of cases, like it's the calories like just don't get factored into the system. It's a whole complicated variable thing, That's why fiber is so important. It traps calorie-heavy sugars in the fibers and not into you. Yeah. Like it's a whole, being balanced or whatever. So I should overeat as long as I get diarrhea every time. If you are dieting and you want to have a big splurge day where you eat a bunch of food, then you should probably like contain it to a day of eating, but don't make yourself uncomfortable. Like you're going out to a nice restaurant. Or what if you're dieting and it's like your birthday or like a friend's birthday or whatever? Like you shouldn't diet on your birthday. That what, like, some psychopath? You kidding me? What are you talking about? No, like have a good day. Is there more to gaining weight than higher calories in than out? Well, you have to make sure your body's actually using those calories properly. So exercising so that you have micro tears in your muscle fibers that your body uses protein to repair. Having enough fiber so that your body actually like processes everything properly, like making sure you're getting the right macros so that your body is using the materials it needs. Yeah, you can gain. You can gain yeah. There's thought that goes into everything. It's always complicated. Yes, and don't forget to mechanically load your teeth. Very important. There are issues that don't allow people to process certain foods, and it can lead to obesity and other health problems. Yeah, it's not simple in like the broad scope of things. It's just, you know, there are simple rules to follow. It's you build on the basics. What the does that mean? Mechanically load your teeth? You'll have to watch some material from my fitness inspiration, The Liver King. Sorry, but micro tears are an outdated view on how muscles work. If there's a more modern understanding of how muscle growth happens, I don't know it. That is what I was taught. That is my understanding of it. Muscle fibers are like bunches and bunches of like strings of muscle cells, you know, like skeletal muscle. And when you work out, like there are little tears because, you know, there's like a bunch of them and you're straining them. And then your body comes in with more protein fibers to reinforce them. And that ends up making the muscle bigger. That's my understanding. If it's wrong or if there's something more like modern, then okay.